Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, and thanks for letting me spend a little bit of time out of your busy schedules telling my story a little bit. As Dave mentioned, my name is John Drake. I live up in Andover with my wife, Kim, and our 3 kids. I was born in Somerville. We moved to Andover in 1972, and I'm blessed that I still live in the town I grew up in. My family's still there, and I live there with my 3 kids, Alexi, Jack, and Giovanna, who are 10, 8, and 6. As a lifelong Massachusetts resident, there have been a tremendous number of ups and downs. And some of you may know them, some of you may know all of them, but they're things like the blizzard of '78, birds stealing the ball in '87, the pride I had in 1988 when both presidential candidates were born in Massachusetts. Ray Bork did win the cup. Unfortunately, it was for the Avalanche. The Snow Bowl and the Pats win in New Orleans. Yes, Dave, Aaron, bleeping boom. But of course, that made it all better in the next year when the Yankees posted the biggest choke in history. So lots of ups and downs being a passionate Massachusetts resident. None of those, nor some of the more serious events in our life, ever prepared us for what was ahead of us when our first child was born and having a child with special needs. On June 1st, 1999, my first child was born. It was Alexi. She's now a 10-year-old, turning 11 shortly. From the opening moments, we knew something was wrong. We held her for about 2 minutes, and then they had to whisk her away. That evening, she was taken from Emerson, where she was born, to Mass General. We then spent the next 3 months with her in the NICU, and then 2 years trying to figure out what happened and get a diagnosis. We still haven't figured out what happened, but we kind of closed that chapter. But during those 2 years of exploration and trying to understand what happened and what's in store for her future, we had expectations set across the board. They ranged from the worst case of a serious metabolic issue that would dramatically shorten her life, to the most optimistic of, you have a daughter who's profoundly deaf, with physical and developmental delays. She'll probably be nonverbal, but other than that, she'll be healthy and happy. And we dealt with it. As you can imagine, we had prepared the home for what we thought was going to be a normal childbirth. So one of the most challenging things was coming home and going to a house and a room that was set up to fulfill the dreams of a new child, and recognize the books you bought, she'll never hear you read, the music that she's supposed to listen to, she won't hear, and the toys she won't even be able to pick up or anything like that. But having said all that, we got through it. We have a wonderful local family and tremendous faith. We truly believe that God didn't pick Alexi for us, that we were picked for Alexi to help her stretch and maximize her potential. And I think that we've done a great job of that so far, but there's a long way to go. We could fast forward to the almost now 11 years to talk about a little girl that's already exceeded our expectations, but I think that would be a disservice to her perseverance and the men and women who've made it possible through all the schools and support organizations that have helped us. She started with early intervention in Andover. She went to Thayer Lindsay, just right up the street from here. When she was still having her hearing issues, which were very profound, she went to the Beltwell School for the Deaf, and then ultimately went to Cotting. All of those journeys were backstopped by tremendous support from the Andover public school system. We could not have done it without their support. As I fast forward now to where she is today, she's growing, she's thriving. She has some hearing return to her. She is experiencing the magic of reading books with the help of the staff at Cotting. I have a beautiful video of her reading to her grandfather. She participates in dance class, and she skied at Sunapee this year, none of which would have happened without the connections we had through Cotting. She still has a long way to go, but she's already exceeded our expectations, and she's going to continue doing that as she continues to thrive. The real journey is defined by 2 seminal events. The first one was that she got some of her hearing back. They had told us in the early on days of expectation setting that she could have hearing return as she continued to mature, and whether it was due to an original misdiagnosis, whether it was the continued brain myelinization or a small miracle, she did get her hearing back. And that allowed us to change our focus from a school that focused on hearing impaired children that could deal with developmentally delayed and physically challenged kids, to one that optimized around her delays and physical challenges. In the spring of 2007, we figured out that Cotting was the place for her, and we were struck by the holistic approach that Cotting takes to a child's education. The therapies and specific tools are incorporated into every aspect of Alexi's day, and to me, more importantly, is a holistic view that they have that the educational experience doesn't start and end with the bells in the school system, in the school, but it's people who are committed to the social development all day, beyond when the classes end, etc. And you know, that's treated as an equally important aspect of her growth. Every person I meet at Cotting, I'm amazed that this isn't an occupation, it's a vocation. There's no way that they can be looking at this as the best way for them to make a living. They look at it as the best way for them to make an impact on their community. She started in a lower school that was really optimized for her transition into Cotting and getting her comfortable with the environment and starting her learning process. This year she moved into a new class, the expectations are higher, and there's stretch goals for her every day. And I am thrilled that they don't just look at it as, let's get her in and keep her busy. There are goals and they hold her accountable to achieving her goals. When I talk about the holistic approach, the after-school activities at Cotting are beyond compare. She does cooking and crafts and athletics after school. That's with volunteers from the school. And that's transformational for her. For her to be able to come home with a cooking activity that she completed, to share it with her brother and sister. She's proud of that. It gives her brother and sister something to talk to her about that is in context, that is important to her. It changes our life that the people are committed to go do that. Circle of Friends is a monthly thing that they do that, for lack of a better term, is the Cotting team allowing kids to be kids. On a monthly basis, they either go to the mall, go bowling, go to the movies. They do something that just let kids be kids. No parents. And it may sound like fun, but it's the foundation for independence. It's what's going to let her become a thriving part of our community. Lastly, basketball is an integral part of Cotting. They have the cheerleading, they've got great fan support, and this year it's going to move on to a brand new surface that was built outside for the fields, for their outdoor field. And I look at that as the true definition of the Cotting way. When the school was faced with a field that wasn't going to let every student participate, the choices were have outdoor activities that everyone can't participate in or don't have the activities. Well, Cotting redefined the rules. They worked with, they donated their time, got volunteers from the town, worked with the town of Lexington to move a wetlands, put in a brand new surface, and now every kid gets to participate in these outdoor activities. So now I'm very confident that baseball and soccer is going to take the same place that basketball has for so long. I look at that and say, that is No Child Left Behind working for real at the Cotting School. And I think about that and say, never before has Mark Twain's "never let schooling get in the way of education" ring more true. These people are committed that it's not just the schooling, it's holistic education. And that comes from, as I said, individuals that are passionate about the cause. I spoke briefly about the PAC. I'm sure I'm running up a bit against my 10 minutes, but as a community, the parents are deeply involved. Everyone contributes in any way they can. At my very first PAC meeting, a book was handed out around the table that was called How to Have a Tough Discussion. Cotting understands that not every decision goes your way. Everyone has to be heard. There's a way to do it, and how we can bridge the differences of opinions and still have constructive dialogues. It's an amazing experience to be part of the Cotting PAC. We also understand it comes at a cost, and I know that's why many of you are here today, is to figure out how this happens. From a PAC perspective, I know that in the community of Cotting, almost everyone contributes to the annual fund. And people are very active in figuring out other ways to fund things. I'm personally active in the Andover Public Schools Revenue Committee. There's a team of us that are passionate about figuring out how new revenue streams can be tapped within the school system or within the town to free up money to continue to deliver differentiated education. I personally, and I know the folks at Cotting understand that everything comes at a cost, and I hope that my time here helps convey how important it is to continue to provide kids an opportunity to exceed their expectations, to redefine what's their limit, and become a contributing member of society. I know that Cotting maximizes the potential of every single student that goes there. Alexi's chances are dramatically better that she will become a contributing member of our community because of her participation at Cotting, and that I hope that the decisions made by Cotting and the town and the legislative body will continue to allow Cotting to make a huge difference in the lives of so many kids.